Today, I'll be presenting preferences for juries over judges across racial and ethnic groups, a virtual presentation on an article by Mary R. Rose. This article seeks to describe the effect, if any, that racial demographics have on the preference of a jury or a judge in deciding legal cases. The article has three alternative hypotheses. One, when compared to whites, African Americans and Hispanics will be less likely to prefer a jury to a judge. Two, Hispanics who are not U.S. citizens or who are not English dominant will be less likely than other groups to prefer a jury to a judge. And three, people who have served on a jury will be more likely than those who have not to prefer a jury to a judge. The research method is highly descriptive, with the data being pulled from coded survey results. My personal interest in this topic gauges from my current occupation as a legal secretary, and as an effect of that occupation, I've lately been very interested in how to choose between various methods of composition and trial decision. Specifically, I've been interested in the functional and perceived differences between judge and jury trials. For the variables, the independent variable is race and ethnic groupings, and the dependent variable is preference of jury over judges. The independent variable recognizes five main racial ethnic groups: English dominant Hispanic citizens, Spanish dominant Hispanic citizens, Spanish dominant non-citizen Hispanics, African Americans, and English dominant non-Hispanic, non-African American citizens. The dependent variable is the research coded as a 1 if the respondent selected jury and a 0 if the respondent selected judge within the survey question. The research also recognizes a covariate variable in the form of whether or not the respondent has served on a jury, which is addressed in another coded survey question. For the data and the measurements are extremely reliant upon p-value as the primary metric of gauging significance. The value and bias questions are scored on a 1.7 scale, and this is measured by an M value or an indexed mean. An odds ratio is also used to measure the association between variables in relation to one another. And the data also yielded a lot of descriptive non-statistical measurements. As for the results, the first alternative hypothesis was accepted with a p-value of less than 0.001, scores for all non-white racial ethnic groups, suggesting that African Americans and all groups of Hispanics were less likely than whites to prefer a jury over a judge. The second alternative hypothesis was accepted with a index mean of 2.5, being the English citizen dominant mean compared to a index mean of 1.7 being the Spanish non-citizen mean. Alternative hypothesis 3 was rejected with a p-value of 0.06, falling short of statistical significance. However, interestingly, in African American groups specifically, prior jury service was significant with a p-value of less than 0.01. Prior to taking this course, I would have struggled to interpret P and M values as well as understanding the information coding schemes that the data is derived from. Understanding the content of the data, even in an article like this, which is heavily reliant on descriptive data, helps a lot in boosting understanding of the content. The weaknesses, the article is over-reliant on p-value, something that can be easily skewed to misrepresent data, especially given multiple variables such as exists in this article. The model of analysis is not clearly described, and this creates an incomplete understanding of the statistical methodology. This makes the exact methodology unclear and also raises issues regarding the replicability of the research. And the author fails to address all of the hypotheses clearly, a failure of discussion and communication, and all the data is represented entirely by tables. This does a poor job of illustrating the data and hides some relevant outliers. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.